The bakery nestled on a corner in the older part of town, a comforting presence that had graced the street for generations, and, judging by its sturdy walls and timeless appeal, would likely continue to do so for many more. Inside, it was a haven of sweet aromas and warm light. Wooden display cases, their glass fronts gleaming, showcased neat rows of pastries and cakes, each a testament to the baker's skill. The scent of butter and sugar hung heavy in the air, a sweet fog that enveloped anyone who stepped inside. The afternoon sun streamed through the large front windows, bathing everything in a golden glow. Behind the counter, Mrs. Chen, a woman whose kind face was etched with years of experience, meticulously wiped down the glass when a small figure hesitantly entered. It was a little girl, no older than 6, with bright blonde hair pulled into 2 pigtails that stuck out at amusing angles, betraying a self-styling attempt that morning. She wore a slightly oversized pink dress adorned with tiny flowers and clutched a small, worn canvas bag tightly against her chest with both hands. Her eyes, wide with wonder, scanned the display cases, taking in the colorful array of cakes. She moved slowly, carefully, as if afraid she might shatter the spell of the place. Mrs. Chen, who had poured her heart and soul into the bakery for the past 30 years, had developed a keen sense for reading people who walked through her door. She could often discern their stories just by the way they carried themselves. This child, she observed, moved with a reverence for the treats displayed. This child walked like someone who knew that treats were special, that you didn't take them for granted, that sometimes you had to save up for something sweet. "Hello, sweetheart," Mrs. Chen said gently, her voice warm and inviting as she came around the counter. "Can I help you find something?" The little girl looked up, her serious blue eyes meeting Mrs. Chen's gaze. "I need to buy a birthday cake," she said, her voice small but filled with determination. "It's for my mama. She's turning 30 tomorrow, and I want to surprise her." "That's very sweet of you," Mrs. Chen replied, her heart already softening. "What kind of cake does your mama like?" "Chocolate," the girl said immediately, her eyes lighting up. "She loves chocolate, and she likes flowers, so maybe a cake with flowers on it." She paused, her voice dropping to a near whisper. "But I only have $5. She reached into her canvas bag and carefully pulled out a well-worn $5 bill, holding it up as if it were a priceless treasure, which Mrs. Chen realized it probably was to her. A pang of sympathy struck Mrs. Chen's heart. The most affordable cake in her shop was $25, and that was a small, undecorated one. A proper birthday cake, adorned with flowers and celebratory decorations, would easily cost at least $40. But looking at the child's hopeful face, she couldn't bring herself to shatter her dreams with a blunt refusal. "Let me see what I can do," Mrs. Chen said, buying herself some time. "What's your name, honey?" "Lily," the girl replied. "My mama's name is Sarah." "Well, Lily, why don't you take a good look at the cakes and tell me which one you think your mama would like best?" Lily eagerly pressed her nose against the glass, her small face illuminated by the warm light, studying each cake with intense concentration. Finally, she pointed to a magnificent chocolate layer cake, adorned with buttercream frosting and delicate sugar flowers cascading down one side. "That one," she breathed, her voice filled with awe. "That one is perfect." Mrs. Chen's heart sank slightly as she looked at the cake Lily had chosen. It was one of her custom creations, a special order for a customer who was scheduled to pick it up in just 2 hours. The price tag was a hefty $75. Mrs. Chen was racking her brain, trying to find a gentle way to steer Lily toward a more realistic option, when the cheerful chime of the bell above the door announced the arrival of another customer. The man who entered appeared to be in his late 30s, with dark hair and features that hinted at past handsomeness, now somewhat obscured by an air of fatigue. He wore a black coat over a dark shirt, and there was a weariness in his posture that spoke of more than just physical exhaustion. He moved to stand politely behind Lily, waiting his turn, and Mrs. Chen couldn't help but notice that he had good manners, despite seeming lost in his own thoughts. "Excuse me, sweetheart," Mrs. Chen said to Lily. "Let me help this gentleman quickly, and then we'll figure out your cake. Okay?" But Lily was already turning around, her attention drawn to the man behind her. And when she did, She looked up at him with those unwavering, serious eyes and asked a question that seemed to freeze everyone in the bakery. "Excuse me, sir," Lily said in her small, clear voice. "Are you sad?" The man blinked, clearly taken aback by the unexpected question. "What? You look sad," Lily stated matter-of-factly. "My mama looks like that sometimes, when she's worried about money or when she misses my daddy." "Are you missing someone?" Mrs. Chun began to stammer an apology. "I'm so sorry, sir. Children sometimes." But the man held up a hand, stopping her words. His expression had softened, revealing a glimpse of the man he once was. He crouched down until he was at Lily's eye level. "You know what?" he said quietly. "I am a little sad. I am missing someone." "How did you know?" "Your eyes," Lily said simply. "They look lonely." The man let out a breath, a sound that was somewhere between a laugh and a sigh. "You're very perceptive. What's your name?" "Lily." "I'm Daniel," he said, extending a hand. "Nice to meet you, Lily. What brings you to the bakery today?" "I'm buying a birthday cake for my mama," Lily said proudly, holding up her $5 bill once more. "She's turning 30 tomorrow, and I saved up my allowance for 3 months. I want to get her that chocolate cake with the flowers because chocolate is her favorite, and she works really hard, and she deserves something special." "That's beautiful," Daniel said, his voice touched. "Your mom is lucky to have such a thoughtful daughter." "The thing is," Lily said, her voice dropping to a whisper, "I don't think $5 is enough. But it's all I have. Mrs. Chun is trying to help me figure out what to do." Daniel paused for a moment, his gaze thoughtful. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out his wallet. "You know what, Lily? Today is actually my birthday, too." Lily's eyes widened in surprise. "Really? Really?" Daniel said, smiling slightly. "I turned 39 today, and I was just thinking on my way here that I didn't have anyone to celebrate with. That I'd probably just go home to my empty apartment and have a quiet evening alone. But you've given me an idea. What if we share that cake? You take it for your mama's birthday tomorrow, and I'll consider it my birthday cake, too. We can be birthday cake partners." Lily frowned, considering the proposition carefully. "But that's your birthday cake. You should have it." "I think," Daniel said gently, "that giving your mom a beautiful birthday cake would make me happy. It would make my birthday special to know I helped make someone else's birthday special. Would that be okay with you?" Lily still looked uncertain. "But I should pay for it. I have $5. "I'll tell you what," Daniel said. "You give me your $5 and I'll add the rest. It'll be a team effort." He held out his hand, and after a moment of hesitation, Lily shook it solemnly. She handed over her precious $5 bill, and Daniel gave it to Mrs. Chun, along with his credit card. "I'd like to purchase that chocolate cake with the flowers," he said, his voice firm. "And please add whatever else $5 would buy. Maybe some cupcakes or cookies." Mrs. Chun, who had been watching this heartfelt exchange with tears welling in her eyes, nodded, unable to speak for a moment. "I'll box up some of our fresh chocolate chip cookies," she managed to say, her voice thick with emotion. "They're Lily's contribution to the order." While Mrs. Chun carefully boxed up the cake and cookies, Daniel sat down at one of the small cafe tables, and Lily climbed onto the chair across from him. "Why are you alone on your birthday?" Lily asked with the directness only children possess. Daniel smiled sadly. "Well, I work a lot. I run a company, which means I'm very busy. And somewhere along the way, I forgot to make time for friends and family. My parents passed away a few years ago, and I don't have any brothers or sisters. I used to have friends, but I was so focused on work that I stopped calling them back, stopped making plans, and now, when I look around, I realize I'm all alone. It sort of snuck up on me." "That's sad," Lily said, her brow furrowed. "Everyone should have someone on their birthday." "You're right," Daniel agreed, his gaze meeting hers. "What about you? Where's your dad? Is he helping plan your mom's birthday surprise?" Lily's face fell, her bright eyes clouding over with sadness. "My daddy died when I was 3. I don't remember him much, just a little bit, just how he used to sing to me before bed. Mama says he loved us very much, but he got sick and couldn't get better." "I'm so sorry, Lily," Daniel said, his voice thick with emotion. "That must be very hard." "It is," Lily said softly. Mama works 2 jobs now so we can have our apartment and food and stuff. She works at a restaurant during the day and cleans offices at night. She's always tired, but she still reads to me before bed and helps me with my homework. That's why I wanted to get her a really special cake. She deserves something that makes her smile. Daniel had to look away for a moment, fighting back his own emotions. Mrs. Chun, who had been listening intently while she finished boxing the order, wiped her eyes with her apron. "Your mama is very lucky to have you," Daniel finally said, his voice regaining its composure. "Mr. Daniel," Lily said, her voice full of earnestness. "If you're alone today, do you want to come to Mama's birthday party tomorrow? It won't be fancy. We're just going to have cake and ice cream in our apartment. But you shouldn't be alone on your birthday, even if it was yesterday." Daniel looked at this child, who he'd only known for 10 minutes. Yet she was inviting him into her home, into her family celebration, simply because she believed no one should be alone. He felt something crack in his chest, some wall he'd built around himself to protect against the loneliness he'd been pretending wasn't there. "Are you sure your mom would be okay with that?" he asked, needing to be certain. "Mama always says we should be kind to people, especially people who are lonely or sad. And you're both, I think, so yes, she'd be okay with it." Mrs. Chun brought over the boxes, the beautiful cake, and a container of cookies. Daniel took out a business card and handed it to Lily. "This has my phone number on it," he said. "Ask your mama to call me if it's really okay for me to come to the party. If I don't hear from her, I'll understand. But Lily, thank you. You've made my birthday better than I expected." Lily carefully tucked the card into her canvas bag. "Thank you for helping me get Mama's cake. You're a good birthday cake partner." Daniel insisted on helping Lily carry the boxes to the address she gave him, which turned out to be a modest apartment building 4 blocks away. He wanted to make sure she got home safely. When a woman in her late 20s answered the door, she was clearly surprised to see her daughter accompanied by a stranger and carrying expensive bakery boxes. Daniel quickly explained the situation. Sarah, Lily's mother, had the same bright blue eyes as her daughter and the tired but kind face of someone who worked too hard and worried too much. She tried to politely refuse the cake, saying it was too much, but Lily insisted it was already paid for with her $5 and some help from her birthday cake partner. "I promise I didn't approach your daughter," Daniel said quickly, sensing Sarah's understandable weariness. "We met at the bakery, and she noticed I was alone on my birthday. She has a very kind heart. The cake is genuinely from both of us." Sarah looked at the expensive cake, then at her daughter's proud face, then back at Daniel. "I don't know what to say. This is incredibly generous." "Lily invited me to your birthday celebration tomorrow," Daniel said. "I know that's presumptuous, and I completely understand if you'd prefer I not come. But I wanted you to have my card and to know that your daughter is remarkable. She noticed I was lonely and decided to do something about it. That's a gift you've given her, that compassion." Sarah took the card, saw the company name, and her eyes widened in recognition. "You're the CEO of Stratford Industries." Daniel nodded. "I am, but today I'm just Daniel, someone who met your daughter in a bakery and remembered what it's like to believe people can be kind to each other for no reason other than it's the right thing to do." That night, Sarah called Daniel. She told him how Lily hadn't stopped talking about her birthday cake partner, about how hard her daughter had worked to save that $5, about how much the gesture meant to them both. She apologized for initially being suspicious and explained that as a single mother, she had to be careful, but she said that if he truly wanted to come to the party, they'd be honored to have him. The next evening, Daniel showed up at their apartment with a bouquet of flowers for Sarah, a carefully wrapped present for Lily that he'd spent hours picking out, and a tub of ice cream to go with the cake. The party was small, just the 3 of them in a tiny apartment that was clean but sparsely furnished, decorated with handmade birthday banners that Lily had created with crayons and construction paper. They ate pizza that Sarah ordered with money she'd saved. They sang happy birthday and cut into the beautiful chocolate cake with buttercream flowers. Daniel couldn't remember a birthday, couldn't remember any evening that had felt more like home. Over the following months, Daniel became a regular part of Lily and Sarah's life. He came to dinner once a week, helped Lily with school projects, and made sure Sarah's old car got fixed when it broke down. He established a scholarship fund in his parents' names and made sure Sarah was the first recipient, so she could cut back to one job and finish the nursing degree she'd abandoned when her husband died. He also started making changes in his own life. He reconnected with old friends, started leaving work at reasonable hours, and learned that the company didn't fall apart if he wasn't there every minute. He began to build a life that felt full instead of empty, connected instead of isolated. A year after that meeting in the bakery, Daniel asked Sarah to dinner, just the two of them at a nice restaurant. He'd been careful about his growing feelings for her, aware of the power dynamics and wanting to make sure anything between them was genuine and not based on gratitude or obligation. But his feelings had only deepened. After months of friendship and family dinners and slowly building something real, he finally told her he'd fallen in love with her. Sarah, who'd been resisting her own feelings for the same reasons, finally admitted she loved him, too. They were married the following spring in a small, intimate ceremony where Lily was the flower girl, scattering petals with joyful abandon, and Mrs. Chun, beaming with happiness, made the wedding cake, a masterpiece of white chocolate and roses. Daniel officially adopted Lily, and she started calling him Dad about 6 months later, tentatively at first, then with the comfortable ease of a child who felt secure and loved. On their first anniversary, as they celebrated with chocolate cake from Mrs. Chen's bakery, Daniel turned to Lily, his eyes filled with emotion, and told her that she had saved his life that day. "You walked into the bakery with $5, he said. "I thought I was successful. I had money and a company and all the things people think mean you've made it. But I was completely alone, and I didn't even realize how empty I was until a 6-year-old girl looked at me and said I looked sad. You saw me, Lily. You saw I was lonely. Instead of walking away, you included me. You invited me to be part of your family when I didn't have one. That's the greatest gift anyone's ever given me." Lily, now 8 years old and more confident, but still possessing that same kind heart, hugged him tightly. "You were my birthday cake partner," she said, her voice muffled against his chest. "Partners don't leave each other alone." Years later, when Lily graduated from college with honors, she gave a heartfelt speech at the commencement ceremony about the people who had shaped her life. She spoke of her mother, who had worked 2 jobs and still found time to read bedtime stories and nurture her dreams. She talked about her father, who had died before she could really know him, but whose love she still felt in her heart. And she spoke about the day she had saved $5 to buy her mother a birthday cake and had met a lonely man in a bakery who became her dad. "He taught me that success means nothing if you're alone," Lily said, her voice ringing with conviction. "The most important things in life are the connections we make with each other. And sometimes the best things happen when we notice someone is hurting and decide to do something about it. My dad always says I saved his life that day, but the truth is we saved each other. That's what family does." Daniel, sitting in the audience between Sarah and Mrs. Chun, who they had invited to share in the joyous occasion, wiped tears from his eyes. He thought about the man he had been years ago, successful but empty, building an empire but missing everything that truly mattered. And he thought about the little girl with pigtails, who had looked at him with serious eyes and asked if he was sad, who had invited him into her life with no expectation of anything in return. She had $5 and a heart full of love, and somehow that had been enough to change everything, to build a family, to teach him that the most valuable things in life cannot be bought, only chosen. That loneliness is not a permanent state, but rather a problem that can be solved with connection and compassion and the courage to let someone in. The bakery where it all started still stands on that corner in the old part of town, a beacon of warmth and sweet memories. Mrs. Chen, now retired but still visiting the shop that her daughter runs, tells the story to customers sometimes. The story of the little girl with $5 and the lonely CEO and the birthday cake that brought them together. It has become part of the neighborhood legend, a reminder that everyday kindness creates ripples we cannot always predict, that a child's compassion can heal an adult's broken heart, that family is built not just through blood, but through choosing each other again and again, through all the ordinary and extraordinary moments of life. Sometimes all it takes to change someone's life is to see that they are hurting and invite them to share a piece of cake. Because cake, after all, tastes better when it is shared, just like joy, just like love, just like life itself. That is what Lily taught Daniel in a bakery one afternoon when she had $5 and he had everything except what mattered most. She taught him that the richest life is one filled with people to celebrate with, that success means nothing if you are alone, and that the greatest gift we can give each other is simply to see each other's pain and offer connection. They were birthday cake partners that day, but they became something even better. They became family, and that made all the difference.